when the pulpit became a business model.
You know, there's a huge shift that's been happening right under our noses, but it can be really hard to put your finger on it. So today, we're going to unpack that very moment when the pulpit quietly, almost silently, became a business model.
See, that's the thing. Most people don't even notice when it happens. There's no big announcement, no sudden, jarring change. It just slips in. It's a really quiet transformation. And that's the key, isn't it? It doesn't show up as chaos. It arrives with systems, with structure, with this kind of calculated precision that feels a lot like progress, but it might actually be something else entirely.
Okay, so here's the heart of the matter. At some point, the main purpose of the pulpit can shift from being a place of instruction to being a platform that has to be maintained. And when a platform's survival is on the line, well, the message itself has to become profitable.
To really get a handle on this shift, we need a baseline, a sort of control group. And the clearest benchmark we have for ministry is to look at the original way, how Jesus actually went about his teaching.
What's so wild about this is how completely opposite it is to how we think today. I mean, Jesus wasn't worried about building a brand or monetizing his audience. He didn't check the analytics to see which words had the best retention rate. If the truth was hard to hear, if people got offended, he let them walk away. And this just nails it. This is the core principle. The message wasn't a product to be tweaked based on consumer feedback. Nope. Truth was the constant. The audience was the variable.
So how in the world did things change so much? Let's actually break down the process that can lead a ministry, step by logical step, right down the path to becoming a business.
It almost always starts with good intentions. A ministry wants to reach more people, so it becomes scalable. But scalability costs money, so it needs funding. Funding requires growth in numbers, and growth requires retention. You have to keep people in the seats. It's a logical chain for sure, but just notice where the focus has moved. It's not just on the message anymore, it's on the machine.
And this is where that chain reaction leads. As soon as retention becomes the main goal, the teaching has to be appealing, it has to be repeatable. It slowly morphs from pure instruction into a carefully crafted product that's designed to be consumed.
Okay, so what's the real cost of this model? It hits both the message and the people who are there to hear it. This is the point where performance can start to quietly replace genuine discipleship. And here are the signs you can actually see. Messages timed down to the minute. Emotional arcs that are managed from the stage. Music that's designed to create a specific feeling. And powerful stories that, well, they can sometimes take the place of difficult substance. The goal becomes reaching as many people as possible, which often means sacrificing depth. And this, right here, is the ultimate danger. If the whole system depends on a successful performance every single week just to survive financially, then the truth itself can become negotiable. What gets said, and maybe more importantly, what doesn't get said, becomes a strategic decision.
Just look at this comparison for a second. When people are struggling, the business model often provides solutions that keep them plugged into the system, just stay connected, keep showing up. But the solutions we see in Scripture, they're often very different. Unvarnished truth, real rest, personal discernment, and the freedom that comes from that. So let's shift gears a little, because understanding this model isn't about pointing fingers. It's about empowerment. It's about realizing what you are and what you aren't required to support based on the very scriptures these systems claim to follow. It's so important to remember these aren't new problems. Jesus specifically warned us about leaders who were all about public visibility, who consumed resources for their own benefit, and who, used the language of spirituality for personal gain. So let's just be crystal clear about this. You are not obligated to support a ministry that would completely fall apart under the weight of a few simple, honest questions. You are not required to support teachings that have to rely on manufactured emotional highs and lows to make their point, instead of just the substance of the truth itself. And you are absolutely not required to support any system that discourages you from thinking critically or makes you feel bad for asking the very questions a healthy faith should welcome. And finally, you are not required to support platforms where the #1 metric for success is popularity or size or influence, instead of the genuine spiritual fruit that Scripture actually talks about. And this might be the most important takeaway of all. Choosing to step away from a system that operates more like a business is not a rejection of faith. It's simply refusing to take part in a transaction that was never authorized in the first place.
So if any of this is hitting home for you, what's the path forward? Look, if you feel disappointed, that doesn't mean your faith was fake. It might just mean your expectations were built on something that just couldn't hold the weight. An authentic faith doesn't need a business model to survive.
This one verse really cuts right to the heart of everything. Truth is a gift. It's received freely and it's meant to be given freely. When truth is free, it doesn't need to be sold or marketed or packaged for retention. It just needs to be spoken. And that leads us to our final question for you to think on. And this isn't an accusation at all, it's just an invitation to get clear. Have you ever confused the activity of staying connected to a brand or a platform with the actual, sometimes really hard work of growing in truth?
So what's something you can do this week? Here's a simple, practical step. First, maybe take a little step back from any religious content that feels more like entertainment than anything else. Second, spend that time just reading the words of Jesus directly. Notice for yourself how little he sounds like a product and how much he sounds like freedom.